Welcome back to the Citizens Fancast. As always, I am your host, Evan, and today I will be discussing some transfer rumors and just some of that, doing a little bit of a preview into the Euros, as well as the continuing my summer-long preview of the summer U.S. tour here for City. And then I will wrap up with what I started last week. Last week I went through all the player ratings. This week I want to go through just some fun end of season awards that, from my perspective, just kind of some things that I thought of that would seem like it'd be a fun idea for our squad. So that is the plan for today. And before I get started, it is Monday, June 10th. Happy Treble Day, 1 year anniversary to all those that celebrate. So rocking the treble winning kit with Rodri on the back, of course. Who else? Our game winner. But what a day. It's been a year. I have chills already just talking about it. So just reliving those moments. So what an incredible time that was. And yeah, it's a day I'll never forget. And I know I'm not alone in that as well. But one more thing before I get started, just another shout out to the Snobby Boys. I was on their podcast last week, and they're doing a lot of great stuff over there. So shout out to them. They had another incredible episode yesterday with Big Steve, and it was an incredible episode. So go listen, go follow them if you don't. They're going in the right direction, so they're taking off and killing it. So shout out to them. Like I said, go give them a follow and listen to this week's episode, and go back and listen to last week's with me on if you haven't, and all their other ones as well. So with that being said, let's get into it. So starting off just with some contract things and rumors. First up, Stefan Ortega signed an extension. So he will be at City until 2026 now. And sorry about that. He will be at City until 2026, extending his contract, which opens up the question of what happens with Ederson. Is he leaving? Is he staying? Is he going to extend the contract? What's going on? From my perspective, I really don't want him to leave. I don't see him leaving. I'm hoping it's just his agent playing some games with us. But with Ortega signing, it does kind of just bring up the question of, could Ederson move on? And I can't picture this squad without Ederson. He is... I think at the end of the day, he's going to, he could probably go down as City's best keeper ever. Just what he's brought to us. And it's not even just his keeping ability, just his all-around presence on the field has been absolutely incredible. So I'm hoping that we can lock him down, honestly, for the rest of his career. He's been an incredible signing for us. And I hope we see him in a City kit for next year. So we'll see where that goes as the summer continues to progress, but it'll be definitely interesting to watch. In other news, Sergio Gomez looking like he's going to be on the way out. It looks like a potential landing spot of Real Sociedad, and hopefully they can offer him the playing time that he deserves. Really, I mean, he's a good player. I just don't think he's quite at City's level, and it's not an insult to him. He's still young. He's still got room to grow. Look at last summer, what he did for the under 21s with Spain, and how incredible he was over there. So just really wish him all the best if this is indeed goodbye, but we'll see from there. Another news that came out today. Cancelo sounds like hopefully maybe he'll be staying at Barcelona. I don't know. They don't really have the money, but for the most part, I mean, I would think if he comes back, he's going back out on loan or we're selling him, but I don't expect him to really play for City. Maybe in some preseason friendlies, depending probably on how Portugal does and everything, if he does end up coming back. But beyond that, I think his time has kind of run at this club, unless we keep loaning him out, and maybe once Pep is gone, things change. If Pep leaves next summer, that would be. I mean, I don't. Again, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's happening with Pep. I would just expect to not see Cancelo play in another competitive match for City. So we'll see what happens there. Other big news just kind of this week being thrown all around of Alvarez potentially on his way out. A lot of big interest from Chelsea. I know my brother is a Chelsea supporter, and he's been texting me all week trying to figure out how they can get him in their squad. So he's obviously sought after. He'd start at most clubs. It's just hard with his position behind Haaland, in all honesty. And it just kind of brings up the question of, if his future is here, does another role need to be found for him? Does he need to, play out on the wing? I don't see him playing behind Haaland, in all honesty. So the wing makes the most sense if we are going to have him as a part of our future. And it's just, if he wants more playing time, and it sounds like he does, what can we do to keep him? How can we fit him in our squad? And if not, is this the end? I hope he doesn't leave. I hope he's in it for the long haul, but we'll see at the end of the day if he truly does end up leaving. I don't, with all these players and the ones I mentioned last week, with the Euros starting and Copa America and Alvarez at the Olympics as well, I don't expect there to be a ton of movement in these first couple months with some of these players. Their focus is going to be on the Euros, on Copa America, things like that, and just kind of working through that. Obviously you have the guys who aren't there, and you'll see probably more movement on those players prior to just during those tournaments. But beyond that, these guys are going to be focused on playing for their country and trying to win a trophy there. So I don't expect a ton of movement between the guys in the summer tournaments, in all honesty, but we'll see what happens. And with that and those summer tournaments, kind of leads into my next thing of just the U.S. Tour again. Reminder: 4 matches in here in the U.S. in North Carolina, New York, Orlando, and Columbus for City. And my point where I'm going with that is, with these summer tournaments, don't expect a ton of players to be there unless they get knocked out real early for in their respective tournaments. But with that being said, the final for, I don't know when the Copa America final is, but the final for Euros takes place about, I think it's about 11 days, 10 days, I think, roughly, before City's first match in the U.S. So usually you see these players get about 2 to 3 weeks off. It depends. I think we're going to probably see a pretty weak lineup at the beginning, and then I think by the end of the tournament, you're going to see quite a few more players have joined, probably for those last 2 matches, maybe only 1. See them come in, join up with the squad, and maybe get some time. But players in the final, we may not see them at all. With Alvarez in the Olympics, I wouldn't expect to see him at all. The Olympics are kind of going on at the same time as that summer tour. So for the most part, the players that we should see so far being confirmed would be Ederson, Ortega, Carson, Bob, Lewis, Haaland, and Grealish, with him not making the Euro squad for England. But and I'll get into that a little bit more with Grealish. But assuming none of those players leave, those will be the guys that we'll see this summer for sure. I think you'll see a lot of the young players come up. You probably see Hamilton, others that are slipping my mind at the time that are at this time, but we'll see. We'll definitely see a lot of young players, I think, at the beginning. Again, some players who go out early in maybe after the group stage from City, we could see potentially joining up with the squad. It's just something we'll have to watch. And with Euros starting Friday, being the first match, we'll see what ends up happening and who moves on. So I'll be watching as much of that as I can. Like I said, I'll keep giving updates here throughout the tournament. Like I said, I don't expect there to be a ton of transfer movement, permanent things. We'll see, obviously, a ton of rumors and stories all over the place, and just talks of whatever. But for the most part, don't expect a ton of movement in the next month or so with the Euros going on, unless players start getting knocked out. So we'll see who moves on and who's in it. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to give a prediction of who I think could win the Euros, but Belgium has my support. They have my heart and my support. So if anyone cares to hear that story, let me know. I'm not going to tell it otherwise of why I support Belgium. But beyond that, Belgium has my support, and if Belgium's out, I'll be cheering probably for England. Just for our guys there with Stones and Walker and Foden to see them do something special. So they have all the pieces there. In my head, I feel like France is the favorite to win, just with how good they've been over the past couple of years, and we'll see if the rest of the teams can kind of make up those gaps and get to their level and knock them out. So if I was to give an official prediction, I'd say France wins it. Just some other teams to watch out for. Netherlands seem like they've got something rolling. I think if things go a little differently in the last World Cup against Argentina, they could have gone to the final, in my opinion. So that'd be great for them to do something for Ake. But obviously France, England, and I think those are two teams to watch, as I already said France, but England as well. We'll see what Germany does. They've had expectation the last however many years and have continued to fall short, so we'll see what happens there. And then Spain, again, it feels like they kind of have that expectation as well and have been coming up a little short. I'd expect them to be pretty decent, but I'd say those are the ones that I'm watching out for the most. And then to stay impartial, I'm not going to give an opinion on Belgium, but we'll see what happens with De Bruyne as captain. A little bit of a refresh with some younger players coming up there, but enough international for now. Let's actually, one more thing. I didn't get to the Grealish point. So Grealish not in the England squad, probably deserved to make it, but I'm not too upset. He gets a full summer with City. He gets to refresh his mind, gets a break, gets a chance to relax and kind of just refocus for this year. For whatever reasons, he had an off year last year, and injuries, personal reasons, whatever the circumstance, I'm fully confident that he comes back and can make a big impact and return to the Grealish we saw during the treble year. So I would expect to see him really turn the corner again and be that guy for us again this year and show that he deserves the minutes and the time. And with the wingers that we have and potentially coming in, I think he's really got to show that he's got to prove that he earns he's got to prove that he deserves the playing time. And I think we'll see that refocused and ready version of Grealish with him ready to compete for trophies again. So uh, the countdown begins to the 5-peat, right? And we'll keep rolling with that. But with that being said, let me get into these end of season awards. So just kind of certain things that certain players, moments of the season that I chose, players that I chose for certain moments. Might be a little repeat of some of the stuff I said last year, which is last week with some of the player ratings, but I thought this could be fun to do. So the first one I have, breakthrough player of this season, and for me that was Oscar Bob. Kind of just came in really out of nowhere, in all honesty, and just started getting minutes and showed up right away. And from the start, it felt like he was really just ready to contribute at a first team level. He didn't, when he came in at any time, or if he was in, you didn't really see a drop in a level of performance for whoever he was in for, whether it was Grealish or Doku or, wherever he was playing. He seemed to give that same level. He's got the composure to just really always know where to move with the ball and what to do with it, and kind of just make his presence known on the match. And obviously that Newcastle goal was incredible, and like I said, won us the title in a way when you look back at it. So my breakthrough player was Oscar Bob. Hope he gets more minutes and continues to contribute at that level. And he's getting minutes for Norway as well, doing well there. So credit to him. But next one I have is best signing, and I'm a little back and forth on this one between the two Croatians. A little bit of bias here gives it to Kovacic for me. I thought he was incredible this year, and I've said so many times why. The composure all year, just coming in, really just knowing his role. Whenever he needed to step up and be somebody who we needed to rely on, he was able to do that. He was able to come in, be that guy, give us the stability that we needed in the midfield, and really just kind of shore it up and really help Rodri out when he needed it. Again, I know Guardiola was incredible. I feel like he had a little bit of a lull, just I think adapting a little bit in kind of the early to middle part of the year. Wasn't getting a ton of minutes, and then just I felt like Kovacic gave a level of consistency across the entire season, where I think when he first started, his level was a bit higher than Guardiola's, and then I think Guardiola peaked higher at the end of the year. But just that level of consistency across the board from Kovacic seemed to really be pivotal for us this entire season. But next up, biggest surprise of the year, and I did that as Doku being the biggest surprise. And I say that because he had some very high moments, some low moments as well. But, I said I support Belgium. I know who he was prior to coming over to City. I knew kind of what to expect. I guess I just didn't watch him as much as I should have been, because his pace was surprising. His development throughout the season was extremely surprising. The level, the leaps he made from his first match to his last match against United, incredible. And I think there's some minor things in his game that he needs to tweak, work on his crossing ability a little bit, his shooting just slightly, and then I feel like he doesn't necessarily know when to release the ball. If he can kind of figure out when to release the ball in the attacking third, I think he's going to be unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. But I was just surprised with how quickly he adapted and was willing to make changes to his game and really develop into what we needed. And you don't see that a lot with a player his age. you'd expect more of a transition period, but he was electric. He's that lightning bolt kit was made for him because he, like I said, was just a spark all season, and especially at the end of the year, coming in off the bench and being, with that speed against some tired legs, he looked incredible. So it's hard to come up with different adjectives here for him. I think he did very well. Like I said, he had some moments. I think in the matches he starts when everyone's fresh and on fresh legs, I think he struggles a little bit more. Obviously, it's easier with his pace to take on tired players and just destroy them. But I think we'll see him continue to adapt and develop more. And I'd love to see him get a longer preseason with City and with Pep, and maybe get a bigger role with some of the younger players to really just kind of figure out how he can be the guy for us a little bit. So I expect big things from him, and he's gonna keep moving in the right direction. Biggest letdown, and I don't like this. I don't like criticizing players. I'm gonna skip it. I don't like it. I don't like criticizing players. We had a good year. No one was a letdown. The biggest how about this? I'll put a moment as our biggest letdown. The biggest letdown was the FA Cup final, where we just didn't really seem to turn up for it, and that's it. If we would have turned up a little better, I think we would have. I think we really could have done something special. No one's ever done a back-to-back domestic double, so that'd have been cool to do. But we go again next year, so that's my biggest letdown. My favorite moment of the year. Actually, I'll go with my least favorite moment, and I actually took all these notes prior to the FA Cup finals, so we'll do a draw between that one and this moment, which was the draw at home against Arsenal. That was my least favorite moment of the season. Over Madrid, over anything. It's so frustrating that Arsenal try to act like a big club, and they came out and played the way they did, played for a draw. At the end of the day, it hurt them more than it hurt us. We got the title. If they play for the win there, they win the title. If they could actually truly do it, but they chose not to, and it cost them. And that's it, but just a weak mentality, the way they played against us. It wasn't fun to watch. I know people say City are boring, but I will die on the stand of City wouldn't be boring if teams didn't just sit back and park the bus and play anti-football and, the low block, whatever you want to call it. It's shit to watch. It's garbage. That's it, plain and simple. But favorite moment of the year, the four-peat, obviously. Securing the four-peat, but again, this is kind of two moments. The four-peat and Spurs away. That match just felt so big. It felt kind of like our biggest match of the year, in all honesty. It's just seeing the reactions from the players too when we got that second goal and how excited they were. That was, you really just saw how much it meant to them to know that, okay, we've crossed this boundary, one more, and this is it. Like we've made history. So you saw how much it meant to them. You saw how like you saw what this means to them, that why they don't get complacent, how they are able to come and get up for these matches year after year after year and just continue to drive and strive for greatness and for immortality through these records. So just all around incredible. Most underrated player in our squad, I'm going to give that to Rodri. And it's basically just because I know as a fan base, we give him the credit he deserves. It just feels like he's still an afterthought sometimes. He went the entire year up until the last match unbeaten, club and country. So just an incredible year for him to be able to do that. And I think it goes under the radar a little bit what he does. People don't focus on the right things. They're focused on goals and assists, which he offers as well. You know, it's just something new that he's offered to his game. I think with Gundogan gone, he was able to offer that up and step up a little bit more in those moments. He's always been a player to deliver clutch moments for us, but I think just in general, he continues to surprise me in how just stable he is, and you know, playing basically every match. So I think, as appreciated as he is in our fan base, I still think there's too many people that do not rate him the way they should. So next up, the player I gained the most respect or admiration for. Good thing I'm not giving out certificates for this because that would be a very long title for an award. But Kovacic, I was hesitant when he came in. I didn't think we needed him. I didn't think he was that great at Chelsea. I probably watched Chelsea the second most in the league outside of City. I just didn't see it. And maybe I wasn't watching Chelsea the way I watched City, and maybe that's why I didn't see it. But he exceeded my expectations from the start. I didn't think we needed him. I didn't think he was a good signing, and I've gained so much respect for his game and what he brings to it throughout the year. So he's gained my respect, and I hope he sticks with us for a couple more years to win a couple more trophies. So he was a very, very great signing, and I shouldn't have doubted it because I look at the players we bring in and what they're able to do, and we don't usually miss on a lot of signings. So that's probably on me more than anything else, but credit to him and the great year he had. Next up, so just my end all awards here. I have player most likely to break out next year, defender of the year, midfielder of the year, attacker of the year, and then player of the year. So all of the player of the years, I did not repeat anybody, so we'll just go with that. So player most likely to break out next year, I've already said it, Doku. I think continuing to develop under Pep and continuing to spend time with this squad, gain chemistry, gain the playing experience in the Premier League and at this level, he's going to be an unstoppable player with that pace. If he can play a little more in control, work out the quirks in his game, he's going to be incredible. I think over 25 goals and assists next year. 25 plus goal contributions. That's what I expect from him next year. So bookmark this, mark it down. You know, I'm predicting it already. 25 plus goal contributions for Jeremy Doku next year, because he's gonna take off, and when he does, you better strap in and get ready for the ride, because it's gonna be hard to stop him. So looking forward to that. Defender of the year, if you know me, you know who I'm picking. Akanji. I think he was our most stable defender all year. He was just the most consistent, and whether that was through staying healthy or just his consistent play, I think he was the most consistent defender for this year. I still don't think he's our greatest defender, as much as I like him. I think we have a ton of great defenders. I think some of our players had some off years, whether it wasn't consistency throughout the year or injuries. Again, I expect a full rebound next year. You know, these players have been going nonstop for how long? It's not really going to get better this summer or next summer, and then we're right back into the World Cup. It's going to be, these players are going to get exhausted, but I expect a full bounce back next year, and maybe we could really do something special again. So my defender of the year is Akanji. Midfielder of the year, I talked about him being underrated, and maybe he should be my player of the year, so I don't contradict myself. But Rodri, I explained what he does. I just explained it a couple of minutes ago, so I'm not going to explain that too much. Midfielder of the year for me is Rodri. Attacker of the year, Holland, in a quote unquote off season for him. Leading goal scorer, missed 2 months of time, still leading goal scorer. And this is what I said last summer. It's he was going to have an off year, and I think next year he bounces back and it could be better than the first year. He's got to, I think, adapt his game a little bit. Whether that's refocusing a little bit. Again, he's going to get a full summer with City, with Norway not being in the Euros. So, friendlies are over. He's got some time off here, rejoin with the squad, and rejoin with Pep. Get his mind right, get focused, get up to play, and I think we'll really see him. I think we'll see a more complete version of him next year. I think we'll be able to see him be more than just a goal scorer. So, whether he exceeds that goal mark from his first year or not, we might see just goal contributions go up in general from that first year. But I expect him to be better. But still, my attacker of the year, because what a year he had. I mean, still leading goal scorer in an off season. So he sets his own standards so high, and his off year would be some players' best year of their career. So last one, and we'll end on a high note. You already know who I'm going to give player of the year to. Phil Foden. What a player. One of our own, and I can't go against him. He's my favorite player. He's just incredible. A lifetime at City, hopefully. It sounds like he might be getting a pay increase as well. That would keep him with the club until he's 30 years old, signing a new deal. And sounds like he could become the highest paid English player in the Premier League, in Premier League history. So he's on the right track to just be the most decorated English player of all time. Very much on that track. And, I thank Pep for managing his time, letting him, not forcing him into too many minutes too early in his career, letting him work his way to this point and making sure that he earned it. And people can say what they want. I've already seen what the narrative is going to be this summer. He's going to be the scapegoat if England don't win, and that's okay. I fully expect him to be incredible in the Euros. I expect Southgate to do something stupid with him, and we'll see what happens from there. But our player of the year, incredible year, well-deserved, top player, won us a title. The last day heroics, just everything. He's just an incredible player. So credit to him and everything that he does. But that's this week's episode. Just a little disclaimer too on something I thought of. I skipped over it last week intentionally. I planned to talk about it and I didn't. Everything going on with City suing the Premier League and with the 115 charges and all this, I'm probably not going to talk about it a ton. And that's mostly because I don't know a ton. I'm not a legal expert. I know there's a bunch of people on Twitter that think they're legal experts, and there's some people who are very intelligent people who do have credible information. You don't see a lot of that from the other side just because they all want City to fail. But full trust in our club and that they know what they're doing. And we wouldn't be renovating our stadium, offering Foden this kind of money if we were truly in trouble, in my opinion. And, I trust our leadership in saying we've done nothing wrong. And I will trust them up until the end. So, like I said, I'm not smart enough to know all that information. It doesn't pay for me to come on here and try to talk about something I don't know about. I know about football. I know how to break down the game. I know how to talk about the game. I can talk about transfer rumors. That stuff I know. I know all that stuff. It doesn't pay for me to come on here and talk about something I don't know. That's not me. I don't just spew nonsense that I don't know anything about. So, it's not fair if you're listening to this for me to try to give you information. I'm just not a good source for that, in all honesty. So, don't look for me to talk a ton about that. if something wildly breaking comes out that's confirmed, that I can understand and know, and is a verdict or something, fine, I'll talk about it. But beyond that, there's plenty of good City pages, good City fans out there that know what they're talking about, know more about this situation, want to know more about this situation. That's part of it. I don't want to get into all this. I'm here for the football. I'm here for the playing, for the players, for all of it. And I don't care about the legal garbage going on behind closed doors. And it's hard to know what to believe and what not to believe. So, like I said, if you want more information about that, I apologize. I'm not going to be that guy. But like I said, there's plenty of people out there who know what they're talking about or know more information than me, or seek out and seek to understand this information more. So, credit to them. And, I trust them and I will listen to them. But I'm not going to come on here and just try to regurgitate what they say and say it incorrectly and things like that, So it's not me. I'm staying true to who I am, genuine to what I am. I know football. I know how to play the game. I know how to watch and evaluate what's going on. So I'm looking to have a fun summer. We've got a lot going on. We've got a good squad of players. I'm excited to watch them represent their countries. Not the same, obviously, with City. Hoping for some of them, honestly, to have some early exits, just selfishly, so I can watch them this summer. But beyond that, it's been a year since we won the treble. It's incredible. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy to think about what this club has accomplished, in all honesty. So yeah, when I started watching City years and years ago, and we're to the point where I've supported City more years of my life than I haven't. I feel like I was late in my early teens, 13, 14, around there, starting to support City. And, I'm still a kid. I didn't understand anything. I didn't know anything about a financial takeover or any of that crap. I knew a player that I liked, and it got me to do research, figure out who else was on the team. It got me into City. I've been City ever since. And it's just a wild thing. I've been thinking about a lot just with a year since we completed the treble. And, I think about when I started supporting City, you didn't hear a ton about City here in the US. And it's, you heard about United, Chelsea a little, Arsenal a little, Liverpool a little, just that's what you heard about here, in all honesty. And I'm being 100% truthful here, transparent. But, I couldn't stand United. I even when I didn't have the means to really follow the Premier League, I didn't like United. I didn't like Cristiano Ronaldo. I didn't like any of that. So, my hate for United started years before the support for City. But, when I started supporting City and just, as you learn more about the history and stuff like that, again, like I didn't know anything about a financial takeover. Was it a lucky scenario for the team that I'm supporting? Yes, 100%. But, you're not going to find, we're just a community of people. And I've said it many times, as long as you're supporting the club and you're truthful to the club, I'll support you. I'll support your fandom. As long as you're not, slagging off our players or anything like that, I will support your fandom of this club, because we are in a special scenario. And whether you started supporting City 2 weeks ago, or you're in Manchester and have been supporting him for 40 years, we're all in this together. We're all here supporting the same club, and we're in this together. And I just think about when I started supporting City, though, and finally finishing this statement, I knew we weren't the biggest club, and I supported, and then, we got those first trophies, the first title, and it was like, wow, this is cool. This is amazing. And, I think about being in the Champions League and going up against these huge teams, what seemed huge in, your Bayern Munich's, your Barcelona's, your Madrid's, and how much I feared these teams and feared competing with them or trying to compete with them. And it just felt like, wow, they're way up here and we're not there. And now what I've seen in the past 14, 15, 16 years is just incredible, where I don't fear teams. I like, we're the best club and the best team in the world, and nothing will change my mind about that. And we could go out and finish 14th next year and I'll still be right here doing this podcast. I might not be smiling as big as I am right now, but I'll be right here supporting City. So it's just wild to see how far we've come in a place where, supporting a team and seeing a team be at the top, and then a team just be the top, be that standard, be that team that other teams fear, that they don't want to play. And it's crazy, I realized this a couple of weeks ago when we, before the second leg of Madrid, thinking about, wow, I used to fear playing them and never wanted to play against them. And now I'm like, bring it on. That's our competition for best club in the world. So just a little personal note, reminiscing on some stuff, but thank you for sticking along with this. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys so much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I hit 2 personal goals in the past week here of listeners, a personal overall goal of overall listens, and a personal overall goal of listens on an episode. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys beyond your belief. But so thank you for that. Thank you for sharing this and continuing to listen and support. And it means the world to me. So hitting new countries every single week with listens. So I appreciate every one of you out there. So thank you for listening. You guys know where to find me, at Citizens Fancast on YouTube. Subscribe there, like my videos. YouTube's not really taken off, but I appreciate the listens on Spotify and elsewhere, just on the podcast. So again, eventually I'm going to do live episodes. It's coming. I don't know when yet. I'm looking into some programs and how to do that appropriately. But Citizens Fancast on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And you can listen to the podcast on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So thank you guys for listening. Merch is in the link on Instagram and on my Twitter. You can find it there. We got some history shirts with the 4-Pete and just some general Citizens Fancast merch. So like I said, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the support. And I sticking with me here week in and week out. So enjoy your summer. I'll keep coming to you a day late via Spotify and YouTube until we're live. So until we're live, I appreciate you guys for listening to these episodes. See you next time.